Okay, so just a couple weeks ago, we saw the release of the 2020 iPhone SE, and since day one of picking it up, I've actually been using it as a daily driver by ditching my iPhone 11 Pro Max and seeing exactly what the difference is between the two. Honestly, the more I used the iPhone SE, the more I didn't like it. So let's go over the pros and cons of the iPhone SE, and I'll share with you guys my experience. Okay, so first off, I'll start off with the cons, and being straight up and honest with you guys, I hated my experience with the iPhone SE because I came from the iPhone 11 Pro Max. The size difference was just too much for me, and honestly, I don't know how I ever used the iPhone 8 when that device came out originally because that phone is just so darn small. So yeah, the size difference was my main complaint, and for users specifically on a budget, there's really no great option for those users who might have hands on the larger side. It almost seems like Apple should have made a plus-size version of the 2020 iPhone SE, and then this entire release would make a little bit more sense for everyone. I've actually already seen a ton of comments from users in the comment section saying that they have an iPhone 7 Plus but can't upgrade to the iPhone SE because it's just too small. So that's issue number one for me. Apple, you should have made a larger sized option for users with bigger hands. It would have just made a lot more sense. Issue number two for me was the camera performance when it gets dark outside specifically. And you notice I said when it gets dark outside. In my original review, I did say that the camera performance was excellent. And for the most part, I really couldn't tell whether photos were coming out of my iPhone 11 Pro Max or my iPhone SE. Since then, I've noticed that when things get darker, the iPhone SE really shows its age camera system, which is the same as the iPhone 8. The nighttime photos are absolutely terrible, and unless you give this sensor a ton of light, there's really no point in taking photos with the iPhone SE. The last and final thing that really bothered me was battery life. Maintaining the same design of the iPhone 8 was great to save money on production, but it also limited the size of the battery the iPhone SE can have. What I've noticed is that the pairing of the A13 Bionic chip and this really small battery just does not work. Even though the A13 chip is way more efficient and handles the smaller task of the UI experience using a lot less battery, when you get onto the more significant tasks like gaming and anything harder on the CPU and GPU, battery life seems to go completely out the window. For example, I played a racing game on the iPhone SE for about 20 to 25 minutes and then went from 82% battery to 61% battery. There was also a ton of heat generated, so the phone was just really hot and it felt like that task was way too much for the battery and CPU combo. So Apple, while the A13 chip was a great addition, it almost seems like more of a mistake given it's not paired up with a significantly sized battery. In my opinion, I'd actually like an option to throttle the CPU down a bit because I'd much rather have better battery life than better performance of the CPU, or at least a healthy mixture of the two. Now, things haven't been all bad with the iPhone SE. I do appreciate a lot of the flagship features that Apple placed into this device, like wireless charging, fast charging, and dual SIM support. There's also the camera, which is performing very well in bright daylight. And honestly, these photos coming out of this phone are really, really good. I've also found a workaround for the lack of object portraits in the stock camera app, and it's an app called Halide. So I can take object and human portraits with that app. The app is only a few bucks, and in my opinion, money well spent to get that one feature that was missing on the iPhone SE. There's also the price that we can't forget here. For $399, you're getting a really good overall phone experience here, and you're able to enjoy the latest iOS software without any drawbacks. So, with the pros and cons out there for you guys, that leads me to my final say on the iPhone SE, and that is that this device is a great step in the right direction for Apple's aspirations to corner the budget market. In the same breath, though, I do have to say that they have sort of missed the boat in capturing my full attention with the 2020 iPhone SE. What I noticed was that the more I use the iPhone SE, the more insignificant those flagship features are because they are just ruined by Apple using the same design and parts from the iPhone 8. The biggest blow for me was battery life because unless you were doing the most basic of tasks throughout the day, there's no way this battery is lasting a full day of use, and it's almost hands down a requirement for smartphone users these days to have full day's battery life. So with that said, that battery life essentially ruins the point of the A13 Bionic chip because you won't be able to use and harness that speed for very long at all. Moving on to the camera, and yeah, it performs great because the A13 Bionic chip does a fantastic job at AI processing when the sensor has enough light. But once it gets remotely dark, the photos look exactly the same as the iPhone 8, and that's no good at all. So I'm not going to turn this into a rant, but here's the deal here. The iPhone SE is something that older iPhone users should upgrade to if it fits your needs. For Android users, it's still a good option because you can buy other Apple ecosystem products to pair with the iPhone SE, and you'd still be spending less than what you would on one single iPhone 11 Pro Max. But what I will say though is that Apple absolutely needs to keep up with upgrading this product line rather than letting it sit for 4 years as they did with the original iPhone SE. I'd like to see an upgrade path at the very least in 2022 where OLED, a larger battery, and some other features come to this product line. Also, in the meantime, it would be great if Apple made a plus-size version for those with larger hands. So guys, that was my experience of using the iPhone SE and also my opinion on what Apple can improve upon moving into the future of the iPhone SE product lineup. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below, but also if you have any comments about what we talked about today, leave them down there as well, and I'll get back to you guys as soon as I can. So, thank you all for watching today's video. If you liked it, make sure to give the video a like, get subscribed, and also hit that notification bell button to get updates on when new content is released. If you want to check out the perks of being a channel member, like exclusive wallpapers and more, click on join down below or check out the video description for more info. So with all that being said, hopefully I'll see you in some upcoming content, but until then, I hope you all have an awesome day.